Now, Cascade Hills is definitely an interesting map in State of Decay 2. Features vehicle wrecks, abandoned buildings, and honestly, maybe one of the harder maps to navigate in this game, especially with so many different base choices, so you're in the right video. With that, let's check out the best bases in Cascade Hills. All right, we're moving on to Cascade Hills, and this was a struggle to find two bases that were good. One is really solid and makes the list without a doubt, but the rest of the bases have major faults, and it's a lot of average to mostly below average. So we're going to start this off after a lot of evaluation on my end, with our first base being the corner office in Cascade Hills. Ultimately, I came to this conclusion for a few reasons. It only takes 5 people. It costs low with 500 influence in the green zone and 1000 for lethal. It's in the very middle of the map for quick access to everything, which is probably the biggest reason it actually edges out some of the other below average bases. It does have some utility. It has a built-in watchtower, which is useful in higher difficulties. It also has a built-in kitchen. It features 5 open slots that you can build with, and only 1 large slot, though, is a little limited, but at least it's something there. And the 5 slots really does give you some sort of customization with this, and the fact that it has some decent built-in stuff, and again, the fact that it's in the middle of the map, which is really good for Cascade Hills. So, and probably the last thing that I want to mention is that it's, I think, one of the easiest to defend in the whole game. It has only 4 entrances that Zeds can get into, but you can easily block these with cars, and with the watchtower picking the Zeds off, it's really solid in that department. Honorable mentions do go to quite a few of these other maps, though. If you need more slots for a mid-game base, the more and more distributing and the lock and keo storage are also good choices, but they are on such terrible spots on the map. That is why they didn't make this list. And then Bridge 4 makes for, I think, a really good early game base, and it almost actually made this list. I'd say it's number 3 on here if I had to choose a third one. But guys, there is one that's clearly really good for Cascade Hills. This is an amazing base. It's really special, but has one big flaw, maybe 2 depending on your preference. That is the container fort, which is absolutely an endgame base. One of the best in Cascade Hills by miles, costing 1750 in the green and 3500 in lethal. And it comes with something that is pretty amazing that not many bases have, or any at all have. That is built-in beds that don't take up any slots whatsoever. It's kind of almost hidden. So 10 beds in total are already built in, which is huge, and it makes this technically one of the best late game bases in State of Decay 2. It also features a built-in fire-safe storage, so you have plenty of room for that, but only 2 large slots, so that's a little bit weak in that department, but 6 buildable open small slots. You really have a pretty big blank canvas. The downside of this base, and it might not be a huge deal for some, for me though it mattered, it's why I actually had trouble enjoying myself, and that is the placement of it. You're going to be doing a lot of driving being at the bottom left of Cascade Hills. Also, the layout of this base as well, containers like the name suggests. It's actually kind of hard to get around to the facilities. If you build your infirmary like a dummy like I did at the very top, well, if you're in an emergency situation, it's going to suck to try to go ahead and get yourself all the way to the top, climb a ladder, and keep yourself alive. So you actually have to plan out where you put your buildings and try to learn how to navigate what feels like at times like a maze. So both the location and the layout of the container fort made me kind of hate it, but I know it's one of the best bases in the entire game by default and loved by a ton of people. The 10 beds, though, are a huge difference maker to say the least. With that, guys, if you want a full video on all the best bases in State of Decay 2 for all maps, click this video right here.